Hey dreamers, and welcome back to Dreamers Unite, the talk show for dreamers. I am Sherry Pullum, and yay, we made it to season 2. 17 episodes later, we are at season 2. And I don't think I could launch season 2 any better than having this guest on. She is, I don't even know what I can say about her without tearing up, because she is the woman really responsible for me in my acting career, really. She gave me my first big break. Yeah, which really I will value. And not only that, but she also gave me some words of wisdom to help me to do what I'm doing right now, and to do what I'm doing as a talk show host, as an actress. So this person, you're wondering, who could this be? This fabulous and sensational woman. Her name is Valerie Curtis-Newton. So let me tell you a little bit about Valerie. Valerie Curtis-Newton is the artistic director of the Hansberry Project, a professional African-American theater lab. She is a professor in acting and directing and head of directing at the University of Washington. She has directed projects for professional companies, including Actors Theater of Louisville, Alabama Shakespeare Festival, the Mark Taper Forum, and that is just to name a few. Her directing roots began as artistic director of the Performing Ensemble in Hartford, Connecticut, where I met Valerie, and that's where I started. She's laughing because that's where I started. That's my roots. Valerie is a recent recipient of both the Stage Directors and Choreographers Foundation Sir John Gielgud Directing Fellowship and a UW Presidential Faculty Development Fellowship. There is so much more I could say about this prolific professor, writer, director, actress, artivist. So I'm going to bring her on and let her speak for herself. So I bring you Valerie Curtis-Newton. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be the premier guest of season 2.
Yes, you are the premier. I couldn't think of a better guest, really. I really couldn't.
I'm really proud of it and proud of you and all the work that you're doing. So it's my pleasure to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. Well, you're such a huge part of my life. You know, we share a sisterhood well beyond our artistic and creative abilities. So I want to start off with the Performing Ensemble. How did you get to be the artistic director of the Performing Ensemble? And then we'll talk about how you journeyed on to
it's sort of an interesting story. I got out of college, and my aunt Dorothy said to me, there are these artists at church, and you should meet them. And this is the aunt who introduced me to professional theater. So I said, okay. And she said, they're called the Operation Push Performing Ensemble. And they started out of Jesse Jackson's organization. They made like this artistic wing. So I showed up one day and they said, okay, here's some things to do. And basically what we did for a long time was just, we put together these choreo poem projects that were all about all Black writers and about various themes in Black life. And they had done a production at the beginning that got them started, and then we started doing these tours. And eventually we decided to mount another production. We did, and the production was a play called Living Fat, which is a parody. And at that point I was 20 something and really militant, and I didn't understand the parody in Black comedy. And I was like, if I'm gonna do something, I don't wanna be doing this kind of stuff. So they looked at me and they said, okay, if you think you have a better choice, why don't you do the next production? So I picked Wine in the Wilderness by Alice Childress, whose work I'm still doing, 30, 40 years later. And after I finished it, the older folks in the ensemble said to me, oh, we see what you're talking about. And then I got to be like, I think I was maybe 25 or 26. And a bunch of the older folks decided to move on. And they were like, well, you should run it. And I was like, okay. So I became the artistic director of the Performing Ensemble. And we applied for a 501c3 status. We had a board for a little bit. And we did more plays. We convinced a theater called Theater Works in downtown Hartford to basically let us make plays on their sets. So when they closed a show, we were like hermit crabs. We just literally move onto their set, not have to spend any money on that. And all of our money went into advertising, and all of the money went back into the Performing Ensemble to fund tours. And that's where we basically made our money. When we did tours, all the money was split amongst the artists. When we did productions, most of the money went to the Performing Ensemble. And so I did that for like 6 years. And then for a series of life reasons, I decided to leave Hartford and come to Seattle to go to graduate school. And when I finished that, I was like, I'm not working enough. And what can I do so that I can make the kind of work I want to make? But I had been taught by that Performing Ensemble that you can just make it yourself. And so I had these conversations with a theater here in Seattle, and they said, we would like you to curate some shows for us. And I said, no, but I'm willing to partner with you on putting up some shows. And they said, okay, well, we'll give you a slot in each of our seasons. It will be an equal budget to all the other slots. You'll pick it, you'll curate it. And then I said, yes, and in exchange, I will come and participate in your season planning and be a part of your organization. So at that time, the A Contemporary Theater is the theater that incubated us. The Hansberry Project was born, basically following the same map that we had for the Performing Ensemble. But it's all about, it's what you're doing. You know, you just see a need and decide what you want to do and then make it happen.
That's right. That's right. And the Performing Ensemble, what a great group of actors, what a great group of people, what a great group of community. And most of us are still doing something professionally in our area of entertainment or area of community or
Yeah,
artivism. Or, yeah. We're
the gift for me was that everybody had a heart for community. And
yes.
so when I said, you know, the Ladies Auxiliary of ABC Little Tiny Church would like us to come and perform for their fundraiser, everybody was like, okay. I loved the heart of it. And also the creation of family. You know, I was an Air Force kid. And so I moved around a lot. And what I learned from theater, and especially from the Performing Ensemble, is that you can actually choose and build family. And that's what happened in Hartford. I learned that that was possible.
Let's shift and talk about the Hansberry Project. How did you get involved with that, or how are you involved with that? And that Hansberry Project, I have to say, has been very special for me as well, with Cherry Red Sweet Escape. That's helping me to get to where I am. So thank you.
You're welcome. I think, well, I just told you that the roots of it came from my decision to try to make work in Seattle and being granted the possibility of doing it at the professional level. I'm always leveraging things to multiple advantage. So I knew that I needed to garner professional credits to get tenured at the University of Washington. So I was like, well, how do I do that? Because, you know, to be a director is to wait for someone to ask you to come and direct for them. So I said, well, maybe I can do something on my own. And then this partnership with A Contemporary Theater brewed up, and I was able to do equity productions on the same budget as other mainstream main stage productions for them. And that began to get some credits. And also because they're a Lort theater, their productions were advertised nationally. The Broadway playbill, all of those sorts of entities. So my name as a professional director started to get out there a little bit more because I had the Hansberry Project. And my business partner, Vivian Phillips, we co-founded it. We got really clear that our goal was to make a space for Black theater artists to do their work. We lived at ACT Theater in that incubator for 5 years. And then we went out on our own, and I decided that I didn't want to have a board. I didn't want anybody telling us what we could and couldn't do. So I decided that what we would do was we would privately fundraise, become our own entity, and then do our best to seed projects literally around the country, but mostly in Seattle. Identify things that Black folks were working on and try to see how we could shore it up with a little bit of cash.
Yeah.
You know, when people have no money, a little bit of money is big money.
Yeah, it goes a long way. And when people know how to work a little bit of money and make it go a long way, which in our community, we're accustomed to doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah. We know how to do
that. Stretch that dollar. So the phase 2 of the Hansberry Project was I started to look around at, particularly at small theaters, who also had a heart to make change, but were worried because if they do this Black play and nobody comes and they're on the bubble of bankruptcy, like most arts organizations are, it made them risk averse. So I was able to say, well, what are 2 or 3 line items in your budget that Hansberry could pay for that will put money in the pockets of Black artists? So we started underwriting director's fees, actor enhancements. We helped a bunch of people get their equity card. And so we started these little co-productions with small companies.
Yes.
But the most important thing has been putting money in the hands of artists. And we just had our best fundraising year ever. We're still small, but we dole it out in such a way that it's going to last us a good while. And it's important in this time of COVID, when nobody can make work, to be able to help sustain artists. So that's sort of Hansberry Project went from these really large budgets. I mean, traditional Lord Theater, regional theater, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on productions, and they don't really have any expectation of making it all back. But they have in their mind that the only thing that makes a Black production successful is if it packs out with Black people, which in Seattle, Washington is nearly impossible.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's kind of difficult, right?
We're less than 13% of the population. Right. I think we're around 8%, which means maybe there's 60,000 Black people in Seattle. So packing a play out for its run with Black folks in a 200 or 400 seat theater is not easy to do. Right. I've been trying to convince folks that the mission is to put Black stories, humanizing Black people, in front of a diverse audience, which, you know, when I look out and I see the protests that are going on right now, and I see how many white people, Latinos, Asian people are marching for Black lives, that makes me excited. It seems like then part of what we've been doing, telling our stories, has gotten in there and begun to be one of the factors helping to motivate folks. That's what our new mission is to underwrite the art of Black theater artists.
And as I said, as a recipient of the Hansberry Project for my project, it's important because it does make a difference between being able to do the project and to not only just do it, but, you know, there is certainly still a level of value and production value that we as artists and as creators, that we still have to bring to the table. right? Especially if you want to be taken seriously as a professional company and as a professional, whatever that project may be, whether it's television or film or theater.
The other struggle that we have as professional artists is that we are structurally underfunded.
Yes,
So, I believe that our community deserves impactful art, but I also believe it should be excellent art. And so it's not for me, I don't mind performing in a church basement for nothing
absolutely.
if I'm also able to stretch my imagination and my abilities in other ways. And am able basically to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Mhm.
But when our own community undervalues what we do,
Yes, talk about it.
I don't have $10 to come to your play. If that were true, I'd be cool. You don't have $10, that's cool. But then I watch where our dollars do go, and that's frustration.
Yes.
That's frustration. Um, and people say if you build it, they will come, which is not completely true. If you build it, they have the choice to come. There's no guarantee they will actually come. And I need them to come, even if they come to tell me that was really bad, that thing you made, or that was really not true, that thing you made. That's the dialogue I want to be having with the community. I want to go out, be amongst the people, hear the stories, see what's happening, then come away, go into the artist's cave with another group of artists and reshape all that stuff, and then go back out to the community and say, this is what I saw. Is it true or is it not true? Did we get it right or did we not get it right? But if we come out from the artist's work and no one's paying attention, that dialogue doesn't exist, and it's very demoralizing.
That's
As
right.
an artist.
And many times when people, the dream of entertainment, whether you're an actor or a musician, people automatically think, your parents especially, oh boy, don't go down that road. You are going to be broke. You won't, because they know the value that people put on creativity, on art, until, of course, you make it to a certain level.
Yeah, they have to be able to see you on TV.
Yes, yes, and that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. So what is fortunate though is that the Hansberry Project is allowing us to work and to do good work, and then to also give back to the community. So
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal.
well, that's a win-win, and you're doing it, Valerie. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much. How do we use our art? How do we create safe spaces and places as artists so we can authentically tell our stories and also be heard?
Yeah, I think that that's another paradox, Sherry. I don't know that there is such a thing as a safe space for an artist.
Yeah.
Right? I think that we can hold each other up and that we can heal each other, but the place we want to live is on a razor's edge, which is not a comfortable place. I think that what people can do to support our work is to support our work, to come to things we do, to be in dialogue with us, to support. Even the $5 donation is a sign that people care. And when we're demanding that funders do a better job of equitable distribution of resources, it really helps to be able to say, I have 1,000 donors in my database who are small dollar donors who have come to things we have done and seen it to be valuable and given us their $5 or their $10.
Right.
And also to be able to say to major funders, you're not the only person giving me $5,000. There are these Black folks who have $5,000 who are also giving us money. So I'm not trying to be on your breast. My company, my community is standing up for this work as well. And the only measure that funders recognize is the presence of other funders. how we stay underfunded.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't get that first dollar, you can't get that second dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the hopeful things about this revolution that's going on right now is that more of us will be able to get that first dollar.
Yes.
And that will help, goes a long way to demonstrating the worth to our community. And it's also difficult when you recognize that the needs in our community are so fundamental. You know, I don't like that someone has to choose between funding an artist and funding literacy programs,
Mm-hmm.
between funding artists and funding at-risk youth.
Mm-hmm.
What that says then is that the artists have to be doing the work with at-risk youth, and some of us are doing that work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then it means that all of our art is social justice, and none of it is artistic expression.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we want to find a space where we are able to have both.
Right. We need a balance.
Yes. All of our work as artists cannot be explicitly social justice work. I think implicitly, anytime that we tell our stories, that's social justice work.
Yeah.
But explicitly, like every play has to be about that. I think that that's not healthy for artists.
Oh, I agree with you, because everybody's journey is different. Everyone's
Yes.
life is different. Right. So we don't want to be put in a box either.
Right.
You're a professor at the
Yeah.
University of Washington.
Yeah.
First of all, to me, you've always been a teacher. You know, I've had the privilege of being directed by you, and your process as a director has always come as a teacher first approach. So I think that's something that's innate with you. So now that you are a professor, what are the challenges and what's most rewarding for you?
The most rewarding is to watch students become more empowered. You know, I believe my spiritual definition of heaven is achieving your full humanity, right? And I think that my job on earth as a human being, divinely inspired, is to create the conditions for other people to get to their heaven.
Yes. Okay, let's drop that nugget again. I'm catching it, but I want you to drop that again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw it at them, but that needs to come authentically from you. A lot of times I kind of take it and then I say it again and I throw it, but you know what? I'm gonna let you really throw that nugget again, because that needs to be heard.
I think our charge here on earth as human beings, as children of whatever God you believe in, is to reach our humanity where we are here, to live out our full potential as loving, giving, thoughtful, creative human beings. So my charge is to make that possible for other people to get there. It's like playing a scene. It's not important that I look good in the scene. It's important that I make you as my scene partner look good. And so I'm always trying to convince the students that their job is to be fearless in creating the space for other people to show their excellence and their full humanity. And if everyone is doing that, then every person has the conditions needed to reach their full humanity. When a student grasps that concept and they live it fearlessly, not fearlessly, they feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very rewarding to me. That's very rewarding to me. The thing that's most demoralizing is that increasingly every year the students come more anxious, more depressed, more terrified of failure, more unable, further and further away from their whole human selves. And they become litigious, and they become small, and they pick at and attack each other rather than lifting each other up. that's very frustrating for me as a teacher. It's also not easy having found another place where I am, again, the only Black person on the tenured faculty. And I think that that's actually one of my life's journeys, is to be the person who goes into the all-white environment and makes a space for myself. And then seeing me in there making that space empowers other people to claim their space in those situations.
That's right.
But it's not easy getting up every day, going into all white environments. Even now that people are starting to wrestle with white supremacy, it's still not easy. The wrong things are often said. The wrong actions are often taken. But that's the struggle between the students getting smaller and smaller minded, less expansive, less hopeful, less courageous, and an environment where I'm always the only one. Yeah. Those two things combine to make it very difficult to get up some mornings.
So what advice can you give that young actor that is going to come and audition, if not for you at the University of Washington, you know, wherever they want to start an acting career? How can you help them? What advice can you give them?
I think when you're auditioning, it's and athletes do this all the time. They visualize completion of their goal. So as an actor auditioning, what if you went in with the attitude that I'm really good at what I do, and this production will be better if they put me in it. Which is different than please God take me. I go in to be of service, to give them the choice to make the best production they can make, and my presence will make it better. All I can do is offer. I can't make them take me, and if they don't pick me, I'm like, oh, well, that production would have been better with me, but it will go on without me. You know, I told you, my therapist said to me, what if for a while you just took all of these things that could be judgment, and when you feel judged, just say, oh, well.
Oh, I like it.
I did my audition. Did I get the job? No. Oh, well. And the same thing when you're victorious. I did the audition. I got the job. Oh, well.
Well, let me tell you, I wrote that moment in my journal, because sometimes we're judging and we're only focusing on the judgment of what did I not do right.
Yes.
That's judgment. But there's also the judgment of what I did right and celebration, but it still is to help us keep grounded. It
yes.
Still is, and to really try to practice no judgment, because the minute you say, well, whether it's good or bad, that's when judgment is interfering. So yeah. Yes.
So we're trying to make a lot of experiments, and that means a lot of failures, right? We're making a lot of experiments. In rehearsal, we're making experiments. You might do the first time, do it perfectly for that day. That's and right. I would say, Sherry, that was awesome. Now let's make another experiment and do it like this. We have that one in our pocket. Let's do it like this. And then we go through a 4-week rehearsal process, and we've made all these experiments. We've tried it every different way, right? So then you can go into performance, and your scene partner doesn't have to do it the same way every time. Because you have experimented with taking it. Oh, it came in high. Oh, it came in low. Oh, it came right at the gut. Like you know how to field it, because you practice fielding it in all different kinds of situations, which is different than I've got it perfect and I'm going to hold it like this for dear life. Don't hold your performance so tightly that it shrinks.
Don't hold your performance so tightly that it shrinks. Don't hold. And I'm going to add, and don't hold your life so tightly that you don't live it. Boom. Catch that.
Exactly.
Don't hold it so tightly you can't live it, and don't hold the performance so tightly, whether that's you're a musician, an actress, whatever the art is, that it shrinks. Yeah. Yes, drop the nuggets. Yes.
Scientists, they make a hypothesis. And then they create an experiment to test the hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep replicating the experiment with adjustment here, and adjustment there, and adjustment here, and adjustment there. They get to the end and they evaluate all the results.
That's right.
The successes and the failures. They evaluate all the results to make their findings. And artists have the same process. We rehearse with a hypothesis that Maggie the cat really wants brick, but she's got to try to find the real brick. So she's got all these different tactics that she takes. We rehearse all the different tactics, and we get to the end of the rehearsal process and the end of the play, and we learn that not only does Maggie want brick, brick wants Maggie. But we just can't go with the one thing all the way through.
Amen. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. This leads me to my next topic of conversation for you. And we're talking about our own truth. What is it as our own truth as Black producers, as Black writers, as Black actors, or Black and brown people? What is it? What's our responsibility to our work, to our community, and to ourselves?
I think to our work is to get more stories out into the world. I think to our community is to facilitate that, both through experience, knowledge, financial resource, and also getting the hell out the way. Because the way I would do it doesn't have to be the way you would do it. You know, I'm an intersectional Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Black, I'm female, I'm queer, I'm an artist.
Mm-hmm.
I have multiple identities, and I want to express them all.
Mm-hmm.
In that sense of more stories.
Mm-hmm.
Mine has to be one of them.
What words do you live by? What values and words do you live by for yourself?
I've been working a lot on the ideas of courage and resilience. So the motto on my website says, you know, find the fear in the room and face it. And whenever I'm not going forward or getting closer to my goal, if I stop and check it, there's almost always a fear in the room. Most of the time it's mine. Sometimes it's someone else's, but knowing what it is and being able to name it is the first step. So it's like, oh, they're afraid that if I do this, that they're not going to be able to be comfortable and act like they didn't know, because now they know, right? So I just have to help them recognize that even though they have this fear, they won't die. And most of the things that I do as an artist, if it fails, nobody dies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So all the times that I feel like something will die, that's a lie.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
That's a lie. And learning to actually use the word lie about it was really huge for me. I used to say, oh, no, that's not true. I believe this, or I believe that. And I'm like, oh, well, wait a second. I just told myself a lie. Don't tell yourself lies. Learn to live, to identify the lie, which for me is finding the fear in the room.
What fear do you still hold on to?
Yeah, I'm still wrestling with it. You know, the fear of judgment is huge. And I've spent a lot of my therapy dollars on that one. I was that kid that my dad never had to spank me. He would just say he was disappointed. And I'd be crushed for days.
Yes.
And I'd be like, I'm never doing that again. That will disappoint him. And I carried some version of that most of my life. My dad's been gone 3 years now, and my family is still wrestling with this idea that he's going to be disappointed. And I'm like, but he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
If we're ever going to be free of his judgment, now is the time. I'm still learning that. People won't always be comfortable with what I have to say. And that's their business. That's a time for them to do their therapy work. I don't have to take care of them. And I'm not always good at it. There are some days when I'm better at it than others, and I make big strides. I'm also learning that to hear someone say no isn't the same as hearing them say that it's not valuable. That's the big fundraising challenge, right?
That's a good one. To hear someone say no doesn't mean you're not valuable.
Yeah.
So, what was your greatest fear and how did you overcome it? What used to be?
I was afraid of being successful.
Mm,
I was very afraid of being successful. Because when you're a success, people expect success from you. And then it gets harder to fail because the judgment is bigger, right? So even in high school, it would be like, I could get straight A's, but it's probably better for me if I get a couple of B's.
right. So, how did
So
you overcome that? What steps did you take so that you could look at success, being successful and turn that into something positive for yourself?
I think that it was identifying that fear of success is actually a fear of judgment. It's all set up
It's
for
a,
judging my failure.
yeah,
Like when I can identify it as what it really is just fundamentally fear.
that's right. So, what would you like your legacy to be?
I think resilient Black folks, that we have the courage to survive and the resilience not to quit. I think it's those two things. And if I can be an example of that, and also if I can support other people in their journeys to achieve it, that's the best legacy I can think of.
And you're not just talking the talk, you walking the walk, my sister. And
Thank
I
you.
am really, I can so easily get emotional. I
Don't
haven't.
ruin that lovely makeup, girl.
Yeah, that my daughter did, by the way. Hunter.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter. Hunter in
There are
the house.
moments
Little
like this
shout
when
out
I'm
to you, makeup artist Hunter. Huh?
like, damn, why didn't I have children?
You see, you would have had a whole production, Gaia film crew, change that a whole little team. I didn't know all that was in the stars for me, but I'm grateful for them. And I am really and truly from the bottom of my heart, um, I'm so honored to be a part of your journey and to walk with you and talk and to just share in a sisterhood that has been special over so many years and to learn from each other and to create art and to create magic and
Yes,
conversation and change in the world. Um, we were put together for a reason, for sure.
it's true.
Yeah, we were put together all because somebody stole my credit card at the University of Hartford, right? We end up,
God works how God works,
you
sis.
see how God works, taking something that could have been a real negative and turning it into something positive. So, you know what? We're going to sign off for now. You are welcome back because you are part of the Dreamers Unite family.
I'd love to come back.
Yeah, and I would love to have you back. Thank you so much. And Dreamers, thank you. And if you haven't subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Hit that subscribe button and hit that blue bell for more great, inspiring, uplifting content with real talk and real ways that you can help your dreams, reach your dreams and your goals. Thank you so much, Valerie. I love you, girl.
Love you too. Take care.
Okay, you too. Mwah.